Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is anger management. And this time we've got Wolfie for the first time in 2 months picking up a win. It must be a brilliant feeling. Look how happy he is. He was up early, singing and dancing in his pants. Wolfie, morning. How are
How
you?
did you know that?
It's the videos you send me. It's the videos, man. Wolfie, you good? You all right before we get into
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm kind of readjusting to life with 3 points. It's been a while. Forgot what the feeling was like, and yeah, it's nice, mate. I can't lie. I can't lie. We beat the best form team in Europe yesterday. Schooled them.
Well, there you go. There you go. So we'll get into it. Sean Dyche, and shamelessly, this is called Dyche Baby. Obviously, Ange has gone. So the kind of picture of Ange on the thumbnail, I have to decide whether or not I want to keep it or not. But
was he gone when we last did this?
No. Yes.
Was he? No, he wasn't. He got sacked on Saturday. No, he was still in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did. He got sacked on. Was that last weekend?
Yeah, feels like a lifetime ago.
That's right. And the one question I asked you this time last week was, who do you desperately not want it to be? And the answer was Sean Dyche. Then on, was it Tuesday, Monday?
One of them.
How did you feel about it, Wolfie? I know you're not a big fan, but how did you feel about it?
I'm not a massive fan of him. It's not so much him.
Not a big fan?
It's not so much him, it's the admission of what he is. That's what kind of annoyed me about the whole situation, because I think there's too many knee-jerk reactions to the start of the season. 8 games and you declaring yourself in a Sean Dyche situation. I didn't agree with that. I honestly think he could have put you in charge, Sav, with the squad we've got, and they'd be straight up the table within a few games. So that's the thing with it. I just felt it was too panicky and what have you. I don't think sacking Ange was the wrong decision. I think hiring Ange was the wrong decision. So, there was a couple of mistakes been made by Marinakis and co. But he's in here now. He's got his win. The fan base is doing backflips, which is fantastic. I think we've deserved that. And let's see where he kicks on to now. Like, he's got, with me and him, I'm really impressed with what he did yesterday. Like, seriously,
I thought you were very good last night. I thought
we were outstanding, mate. It wasn't Dyche ball. It was almost a mixture of Nuno's good bits with the limited good bits from Ange as well, just amalgamated into one. It almost felt, I said it on the video this morning, it almost felt like he went in there and he said, look, I've only got 3 days before the game. Just, delete from your memory the last 39 days and do what you're doing under the previous manager, and we'll be fine come Thursday. That's exactly what it felt. The biggest thing for me, mate, was under Ange, we've been ahead a couple of times. And like, we were 2 up against Swansea and we still fucked it up, right?
Yeah.
But yesterday, I got that feeling again that I was getting under Nuno, where when Forest took the lead, because Milenkovic looked like Milenkovic, he wasn't playing right wing. Because Murillo was Murillo again, looked fully fit.
You got a back 4 back.
Yeah, I mean, we just need a back 2. We just needed the back 2. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we were literally, Murillo was playing as a right winger under Ange. It was crazy. Like, it was absolutely crazy. And just to know he was back there, Matt Sells was looking Matt Sells like Golden Glove winner Sells. And I just want to shout out Nico Williams. I don't think many opposition fans take note of how good he is. Even under Ange, he was brilliant. And he was brilliant last season. He's just an unfashionable name that no one really talks about. Everyone's talking about Anderson and Douglas Luiz and all that. Nico Williams has been so consistent, man, even with shitty Ange.
Yeah, I like Nico Williams, and he had a good schooling, didn't he? Coming through at
Liverpool,
Liverpool, so he's had a good schooling. But yeah, listen, I was watching your game last night while I was live with a Spurs 5, and I'll be honest.
You look for the raid, by the way.
No, all good, man, all good. You looked like it looked like a team. I think that's you know me. I don't like to do the superlatives for one game, and a player plays
Agreed.
well.
Agreed.
I thought you looked like a team, and look, I thought Porter had quite a bit of the ball, like when they were chasing that goal, but I never thought you were really under danger. And I know you're not his biggest fan, Sean Dyche, but what Sean Dyche is, he is a kind of nuts and bolts manager. He will bring it back to, right, what's the first thing I do to need to make my team look like a team? So this is the way to endear himself to the Forest fans, isn't it? Performances like last night.
Well, don't get me wrong here. I think the majority of the Forest fans are more than happy with Sean Dyche. I'm not unhappy with Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche is the scenario, as I explained. But yeah, that win will go a long way for the doubters and everything. But I do agree with you. Like one swallow doesn't make a summer, or whatever the saying is. It was. I think, like, if I'm being objective about it, you do still have to question the players, like high players. Where have you been for the last 2 months?
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? There's too much at the moment in football where everything's the manager's fault or everything's because of the manager, and that's too much to the extremes. But
I think it all depends on the quality of the player. And I think that the problem that I would say that Forest have had for the last 2 months under Ange is your squad is too good to be where you are. As much as I'd love to sit here and banter you and say you've got a shit squad, you haven't. You've got multiple options all over the pitch now. You know, I like maybe not a centre half in too much depth, but when I look at your central midfield options, you know, when I look at your wide options, like you've got Chris Wood, you've got Callum Awundo and Jesus as forward option. You've got players, mate.
Yeah. Our weakness at the moment is fullbacks. Apart from Nico Williams, Einar's injured. Zinchenko came off injured yesterday, but he's shit anyway. I don't like him as a left back at all. That's where our weakness is. Where I think our biggest strength is right now, and it hasn't been for a long time, is central midfield. I look at Anderson, Douglas Luiz, Sangare, Dominguez. Some would add Yates in there. I personally wouldn't. Suddenly looking at like a midfield that can control a game. And I think you're right. For the first 20 minutes, we actually dominated them until we scored our goal. I think we then kind of sat back into a shape afterwards and let them on. But they weren't really threatening. They had one 25-yard shot, which Sells kind of saved quite comfortably. Outside of that, it was a really comfortable game against a team that I expected to kind of come out and smell blood, against a team that's in transition under new management. But you're right, this team should not be where it is. And yes, blame what's his face, Ange, all you want, but players have to take responsibility. And to be fair to them, if you have come out and said, this is on us, we should have done better, we could have done better. But it just makes you wonder because clearly they didn't like Ange. They didn't like either him or his philosophies. There was rumors of fallings out in the background and what have you. But like they're a little bit childish sometimes, players. I'm not talking Forest players in general. It's like, okay, you don't like your manager, cool. You're still getting paid by a club to do your job. Yeah. Get on and do it.
It's always that heart versus head thing. I guess the problem is for the players, and you know, you could say this about Spurs players as well. If you are playing this kind of gung-ho wide, like you started this stream by saying Murillo was playing like right wing. Like, do you know what I mean? And
Milenkovic, yeah.
If you've got this sort of tactic going on, you will lose players. And I agree with you. Players are professionals. They're being paid whatever. You and I don't down tools in our day job. Yeah, because we will get sacked. But at the same time, we are starting to see a pattern. I don't want to really talk about Ange too much today, but we are starting to see a pattern, Wolfie, that wherever he goes, he just plays this one wide open style of play. And that will get plaudits from half the fan base because it's exciting, right? But it doesn't deliver results on a consistent basis. And fans will lose patience. Players will lose patience. I think
he's done, mate. I think he's done. I know we don't necessarily need to talk about Ange, but
no, but
I don't see.
No problem.
I don't see how he's touched by another Premier League team ever again. And let's not forget, he's 60 years old as well, twilight of his career. He's milked your club and my club for about 15 million between us. He's done
very
very well for himself.
People feeling sorry for him. In the last 6 months, the man has racked up £15 million in.
Like, you gotta applaud it. You gotta applaud it. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday, weren't we? Best job in the world is to be a shit manager. Dream job. I'd love to be a shit manager. I could do it, you know what I'm saying?
And it's the only industry in the world where you can fail upwards.
Yeah.
How many managers get sacked and then they go, like, if you look right, Potter has just had an awful spell at West Ham, and then a national team goes, that's the guy we need.
Do you know what? Do you know a national team job is even better than a domestic team job? Because you just fuck up every 2 years, you know, for a major tournament kind of thing. Because in the qualifiers, you're always, if you're at a decent team, I'm talking, you're always going to come up against the shitty, like freaking San Marinos and what have you, aren't you? And then if you fuck up in a tournament, cool, they'll pay you out. If you don't, then you've got another 2 years till the next major tournament. You're getting your checks. Honestly, mate, these guys that say that, the managers that tell you that management is the hardest job in the world. Okay, cool. If you want it to be the hardest job in the world, give them 1 month's payout when they leave, and then it becomes the hardest job in the world. But no, look,
I'd love it. I'd love it. If someone came up to me right now and said, "Just sacked, here's £7 million," sure. Like people going, "Oh, you got to feel for these managers losing their jobs." I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I do in the lower leagues, right? In the lower leagues,
yeah.
Like my mate was the manager of Ebbsfleet, right, in the National League, and he was on like 75, 80 grand a year. Like, he was on a normal, do you know what I mean? Like,
bloody hell, that's quite high, man.
But do you know what I mean? It's a normal salary. So when he loses his job, it's like he's like the rest of us, like, shit, I need to pay my bills. When Postecoglou gets sacked, right, him and his wife aren't sitting down and going, God, we've got to tighten the belt a little bit for the next
Let's
6
cut
months.
Down on the heat in this winter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just put a jumper on instead of turning the radiators on. But look, I mean, realistically, let's just, before we move on from Ange, and this isn't about Forest or Spurs now, just Ange as a manager, where does he go? Like, for me, I think anyone in the Premier League taking this guy, I think, would be absolutely crazy at this stage.
They won't.
I reckon he ends up in Greece, or
I think he goes back to Australia, mate. I think look, in a way, look, put aside we don't feel sorry for them because of their money. I actually think there is a huge slander media campaign against him, because if you look at the way that when he joined Forest, the media was straight on him because they know they can poke the bear and they'll get a sound clip out of him. And if you look at how Dyche was approached when Dyche was signed, maybe because he's British, English, etc., there was like a more welcoming approach from the media, and I don't think that's fair. Hang
on, Wolfie, but don't you also think it's a little bit of his own? By the way, I'm looking at the state of my hair. Friday is hair and beard day, so please ignore this. It will be sorted out.
You're sitting next to me, mate.
I feel like I'm one of those. I hate it when I start getting anyway.
You're getting your hair cut, mate.
Mate, I get my hair cut every Friday and my beard done every Friday. Every Friday.
You can see it, little bitch, man. Every Friday.
Every Friday. Anyway, don't you think a lot of that though is
self-inflicted?
It's down to the sound bites he gives. So, for example, if anybody's going to interview Sean Dyche, if they're going to interview Thomas Frank, let's use our two managers. Thomas Frank and Sean Dyche are going to give a very normal interview where they're not going to lose their minds. They're not going to start blaming footballs. They're not going to start blaming the shape of a ball or the pitch they just, you know, they're seasoned pros. And for me, at some point, somebody should have sat down with him and media trained him to, look, you can't keep giving them this, because this is the problem. And I know a lot of Spurs fans won't like this, right? The soundbite that they got from him that everyone loves, Wolfie, is I always win in my second season, right? And people cling on to that now, and that's a good thing for him, right? Because people go, well, he told you he always wins in his second season. Problem is, all of the other sound bites throughout the season you have to put up with, like when he said, "We can challenge." Like he's telling people,
I'm not a clown. I never will be, mate.
Right. Okay. But he gives too many of these sound bites that the media use, the fan base use. Then when his team is crap, they're going to throw it against him, Wolfie. They're going to use it against him.
He makes the rod for his own back, but you just feel the approach of the media towards him is different to how they've approached Dyche, because they know if they push that they will get what they want out of him. Whereas, like you said, the Thomas Frank or Sean Dyche are quite calm and collected in terms of their thought process and what they're saying to the media. Like, Dyche has really impressed me. One on the pitch yesterday, but also off the pitch in the way he's spoken. Now, let's be real. We know there's so much PR fed into them because everyone was talking. One of the grievances the Forest fans had about Ange was it was me in the interview. And Spurs,
I do this, not my team. I do this. I win this.
It was all that, and it was all Spurs did this, Spurs did that. Spurs told me I had to win a trophy. Spurs told me to get rid of the Spursiness out of Spurs. It went on and on. So what happens when Sean Dyche comes in? We. Badge is more important. I think he means a lot of it, but I know a lot of the media team at Forest. I know they're going to feed him the right lines to say, right?
Sure.
So, and it works.
Right. So but your owner and your media team will be saying when they brought him in, the same that our owners would have done with Frank would have been, we need some calm. We need a little bit of calm where we're not the news story.
How about this, Sav? His presser last week, where he went on about the Spurs stuff and the him stuff and everything, Forest didn't even release it. Every week they put the presser out. That one they didn't even put out on the Forest YouTube channel. So look, but I still think he was treated harshly. To go back to your initial question, I think for him at his age at 60, he should go to Australia, maybe remanage the national team, maybe manage one of the Australian football teams there, because I think he would be more comfortable. So he gets so much love from the Australians. I saw it when he joined us. I'm sure you saw it in kind of your tenure with him. And I just think at that age, just let him enjoy the last 5-6 years, whatever it is, of his career, and just do it at Australia, where I think the media will be a lot softer to him. I think he's a big personality out of Australia. And I think the media would be more positive about him than critical about him.
Yeah.
And in that league, he should be fine. It's not a tough league.
I agree with you. I just think it's going to be interesting. I think most of us probably realize that waiting for the Celtic job to
that could. I think the Celtic fans still very straight. That would be a good league for him to go to as well.
Do you know the funny thing? Celtic, if I'm not wrong, are 5 points off the top right now. Celtic fans, when was the last time this for Celtic fans, by the way, is a crisis, right?
Yeah.
This is absolute crisis. Second, 5 points off the top, right?
Who's top? Rangers.
The Hearts.
That's my boys, man. That's where I was born. My boys, Hearts. Yeah, you can tell I keep up with them.
By 5 points. Listen, I think the rest of world football is going, go on, Hearts. Go on, Hearts. Win that league. But
hell yeah. Edinburgh, best place in the world.
Lots of reports that the Celtic fans are not happy with Brendan Rodgers. I love this. You can win everything at a club like Celtic, and then the moment you're not top, it's get him out. But Ange going back there would make sense, right? I think you can be that wide open. You can play that way up there and you'll win the league with Celtic, right? So I think that's what
I agree. And Rangers are so shit. Like they're nearly bottom of the Europa League campaign. I'm kind of annoyed we haven't drawn them in there. So really, if you go into the Scottish League, and I can say this, I don't need to offend anyone because I was born there, right? You just have to beat my boys' Hearts then, and then you're good. But look at Rangers.
Oh gosh, that.
Rock bottom.
Wow.
Bottom.
We're a Forest. Let's scroll up a little bit.
We're a Celtic in this as well.
Celtic at 21st.
So they just beat Stern Graz, who we've got next. So that's a good sign.
I think you cruise through now. And
mate, our next 3 games.
This is what I was trying to say yesterday, Wolfie, right? You know, on Potsy's 12th Man podcast, right? all the banter aside, and I know as soon as everyone gets on, it's just banter, banter. I think Forest, you did this at a nice time.
Yeah.
Forget that it's Ange. You did this at the right time because you still had 6 Europa League games to play, right? You've still got 30 Premier League games to play.
Yeah.
It's not like you've done this with 15 games to go and you're going, you've got to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I think you'll be absolutely fine. I think you've got a good squad. I'd take quite a few of your squad, if I'm being brutally honest. I really would take quite a few of your squad at Spurs. So I think, look, if we look at that, you are sitting you're sitting 17th.
Yeah, but we're a point. I think we're only a point behind Villa.
Yeah, you're 2 points. Yeah, you're two points behind the top 8.
Yeah, and if you look that game yesterday, like forget the whole Dyche thing. It's absolutely huge for our season because by winning that, our next 3 games, I can't remember the order. It's like Sturm Graz, it's Malmo, and it's Utrecht, the Dutch team. All of them are sitting in the bottom 6 or 7 in the Europa League playing shit. So I'm looking at that thinking, yes, it's paper talk, paper numbers and what have you, but that's 9 points. You put 9 points to your 4 or whatever we've got, you're on 13 points. On average, just to get into the playoffs, you need minimum like between 8 and 12 points, I think it is. I know it's a new format, so that we have limited data, but to qualify for the top 8, 14 points should get you there. So we will be 1 point off with 2 games to go. So I'm very much more optimistic. I think Ant said this to me the other day. He was like, when we initially saw the 8 teams we got, you're like, yeah, you know what? Aside of Betis and Porto, the rest should be light work. And then about a week ago, you're looking at it thinking, yeah, these aren't as easy as I remember when the draw came out. And then this morning, with the positivity, you're looking at it thinking, I'm counting 9 points, and then I just need 1 or 2 from the other 2. So, so no, I think that's been huge for the season, just that win. But it's early days, mate. There's no point in declaring Forest have won the Europa League and going to finish in the Champions League and what have you. Now I need to see how the players react to a huge game this weekend against our bogey team, Bournemouth, who we haven't beaten.
If you look at it like this, right, you're on a high, right? It's one game, but you're on a high. The players will get that feel-good feeling back, and at some stage, Bournemouth, they're not just going to keep winning. So look, if we look at the Premier League table, right? If we look at this table, let me remove that comment. There we go. So let me blow that up a little bit for everybody. So if we look at the Premier League table, Bournemouth have a look there. So 1-3, drawn 3 of their last 6 games, right? So of their last, I believe they've not lost for 7, if I'm not wrong, right? They're not just going to listen. Fair play to them if they do, Wolfie. But I can't see that they're just going to keep winning. They're good, but I don't know if they're that good. And what you will see from the goal columns there is they do concede goals. They do concede goals.
They did really bad and really well against Palace to bring it back. They were, 2-0 down?
Yes.
No, they were 2-0 up. So they did well to get 2-0 up, and then they messed it up and ended up 3-0. And they should have lost if Mateta had scored. Me and my mates, when we're talking just football offline and just relaxing, we have this thing called the due it rule. When you see a pattern like that, you say they're due a loss.
Yeah.
And if you look at Forest, there's a due it rule for there as well. We're well overdue a win in the league. I just think if you look at all those teams there, I would say that Villa, Forest, and Newcastle are in false positions there. The rest of them, maybe even Everton. I've been quite impressed with Everton so far, to be honest. But the rest of them, Fulham look really poor. Leeds are starting to drop off. Burnley, yes, they did well because they beat Leeds, but they're roughly where they should be. West Ham and Wolves look like they've tapped out and waved the white flag. So it's going to be interesting there.
Do you know, can I just say, just quickly, Wolfie, what's really funny about those two teams is the polar opposite, but still the same. And what I mean by that is you've got Wolves who are rock bottom, but rewarded their manager with a brand new contract.
Crazy.
Right? And then you've got West Ham who are second bottom that canned their manager. But yet both of them, look at them in their last 10 games, between them, if my maths works quickly there, that's 7 defeats between them and 3 draws. They've got
And
3
by the way,
points out
that green thing next to West Ham, yeah, that was Nuno taking.
That
3
was
points
Forest,
with
wasn't it?
him
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I still call. I know he sabotaged that game. I know that
Yeah.
that will be investigated one day. But yeah, so like, and then, I think a lot of those teams are playing each other. So I think Leeds are playing West Ham tonight, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, it's tonight. So Lawless versus Joe, that should be entertaining.
I don't know who I want to do. I quite enjoy seeing Joe squirm. Like, I'll be honest, after the whole Spurs are shit debacle, and since then I've not seen his team win a game. I find it quite funny, but also it is quite funny because I've got loads of West Ham mates. The 2 best men at my wedding were West Ham fans, right? And for years they've been going, "We're massive." They do that thing, we're massive, and they won the Conference League.
DX, don't they?
And now on our WhatsApp group last week, this is not a Spurs this isn't a YouTube group. This is just my mates group.
Yeah, a real group. Yeah.
And this is the worst they've seen West Ham for years. And I was like, yeah, but you've been relegated before. And they're like, yeah, but this is worse than those relegated teams.
I think the thing with West Ham, they just look checked out. Both.
Yeah.
And the problem is the players look checked out. And worse than that, the fan base looks checked out. I almost feel now West Ham fans are very pessimistic. I've seen it many years. I remember when Forest first came up, West Ham started really bad under Moyes, and we beat them on the second day of the season. It was the second week of the season. Sorry, it was our first home game back, and we won it. And you had West Ham fans say, "Yeah, we're getting relegated." So they're very quick to jump to the "we're getting relegated" thing. But I think this is the first time where it really does look like they could be in trouble. Big trouble.
Do you know what's funny is when you watch a West Ham game, by the way, talking about being in trouble, should we talk about the number of likes this show has got so far, Wolfie? 61. 61 likes, not 1 subscriber. And thank you to my man Smokey Boy, who has put in 2 buy me a coffees. So thank you to Smokey Boy. The rest of you, he hasn't left a message that I can see. Let's have a look. 1 second. Let me double check.
Be on your emails.
Oh, yes, he has. Sorry. He said, coffee is sweet with a happy Wolfie. There you go. Coffee is sweet with a happy Wolfie. And the one I missed was, on the other one, it says coffee in a crazy place. Love it. I love Smokey Boy. Thank you very much. Yeah. The rest of you, I'm not asking for your money, but you can smash a like button. You can hit a like button.
And also just to add for those of you who don't know about the Buy Me a Coffee, 2 things. You have a lot more characters to put in there. So if you don't want to do a super chat, you can do it in there. And it takes YouTube out of the equation, which is always good. We get to stick it to the man. So grab a coffee, scan that QR code up there. It's easy.
And probably a good time to say, by the way, guys, that in the background this week, Wolfie is going to help me build an OBS platform so that we'll be able to see the messages that come up from the Buy Me a Coffee, and it will look a lot nicer than the screen we've got now. So Wolfie's going to, I don't think he could quite believe this week how shit I was with technology. He's going to help me build an OBS platform so it will all start looking nice. The interesting thing, though, you say the players look checked out and the fans look checked out. When I've watched West Ham lately, they pan to the crowd and they show Karen Brady and who's the what's the owner's name? Sullivan, right? Yeah. They look checked out. They almost look like, what are we doing? We've had Moyes, we've had Lopetegui, we've had Potter, we've now got Nuno.
They've had a lot.
The whole club seems a mess. And what I don't understand about it is I look at Crescencio Somerville, Paqueta, Bowen, Fulkrug, Callum Wilson. There should be enough there that they are not second bottom, shouldn't there? They're not that bad on paper, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. I think the problem with them is pace. I think this is what I said to Lawless when they signed Nuno. I said, you're going to need someone with pace. That is fine. We got Somerville. I said, no. You need pace, Elanga style pace. That's what helped Forest last season. with Nuno. So the pace, I don't think there's enough pace there. And I think they're quite a lethargic team. You know what I would do? The first thing I would do, though, if I bought West Ham, I would change the color of those fucking seats, bro. Every time those fans leave, all you see is a sea of white. It's just so obvious because it's white when the fans have left against their claret and blue color. So like, it's just a whole sea of white. It's like, just paint those seats, man. Make it a little less obvious that everyone's just leaving. And then you had the whole what do you call it, boycott, didn't they, on Monday? So I don't think it made a difference. I don't think it made a difference in terms of the atmosphere, because that is one of the deadest stadiums ever. Man.
By the way, just some sad news coming out of football today. Don't worry, no one's passed away or anything, but some really sad news that Sheffield Wednesday this morning have gone into administration. And it's likely, they're saying Sheffield Wednesday have filed for administration amid mounting financial issues. And it is believed that the club will incur a points deduction. I think they're rock bottom as well. And there's still issues with players being paid. So as much as we all banter about our own clubs and style of play and losing games, there are clubs out there in a lot worse positions.
Should I tell you why that pisses me off for a couple of reasons? I actually like Sheffield Wednesday. I remember, like, my first memories of Sheffield Wednesday were, do you remember when they played Arsenal, or was it Arsenal or Palace, twice in the FA Cup and the League Cup, and they lost them both, I think. I've always had them as a traditional Premier League club. Okay, Premier League clubs for me are those clubs that were in the Premier League when I was a kid. You know, like, I quite like Coventry. I think Coventry should be in there. Proper Premier League. Not these shitty Bournemouths and Brightons and Brentfords. The other thing that pisses me off about that is, what is the point in FFP/PSR? I thought this PSR stuff was brought in so that clubs don't go into administration. So if that's the case, we already know PSR's broken. The BS they hide behind on PSR shows, well, then it doesn't work if you're seeing clubs like Sheffield Wednesday get into the mess they're in. Therefore, it's further proof that this PSR model is completely and utterly useless, not fit for purpose. And the mantra they hide behind to say, oh, it's to protect things like this happening. We don't want another Leeds happening or another Portsmouth happening. Well, here we go. Sheffield Wednesday.
Shouldn't there be some sort of safety net from that the league provides to stop this happening? I'm not talking about just allowing every club to go into administration and bailing them out, but shouldn't there be some sort of, with all the money that's floating around in football, you shouldn't have players not getting paid. Do you know what I mean? There should be some sort of support package from the FA, the league, whoever, that stops this happening, right?
So my personal opinion is, what they should do is, at the start of every year, it's on the owners. Let's be real, man. Owners in the Premier League and a lot of the owners in the Championship. I mean, we see the likes of what Birmingham doing, how much money Wrexham have got and stuff. Money needs to go into escrow, into some kind of bond to protect the club. And that's what they should do instead of PSR. So, for example, let's just say Spurs wanted to spend 200 million in the summer. Your ownership has to write an escrow check or a bond check or whatever, given to a holding account, call it the Premier League or whatever, where they hold that money. That money has to cover your transfer fees. Because spending 200 million doesn't mean you spend 200 million, right? You're going to pay like 10 million up front on what have you. But it also needs to cover the running costs of your club to a set percentage. Therefore, if your owners are just going to bounce out of Spurs, or as we're seeing in Sheffield Wednesday, that money in escrow can then be used to pay the players. It's not just players. We're talking about kitchen staff, groundsmen, things like that. So that should be the model that they do. And I think it solves it. And then you say to every owner, and this is where we get to see who the real good owners are or not, you can spend as much money as you want. Forget PSR, forget the restrictions, because I think ownerships hide behind PSR and say, oh, I'd love to spend money, but, you know, our hands are tied from PSR. So if you then say to owners, spend as much money as you want, as long as you've protected 60% upfront in an escrow account or whatever the percentage is, knock yourselves out. Then we get to see who the real true owners are that want to spend, that care about the club, and those who won't. And I just think that's the easiest way, because if you have a Sheffield Wednesday scenario, then that owner has put X amount of money in already that would have covered cost for 6 months. And that would have given time for a transition to happen before forcing into administration. But how feasible is it? I don't know. But that's kind of the rough thing I would do.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, that we get to this stage? You know, I mean, like Sheffield Wednesday are a massive club, like
Huge.
Absolutely huge football
Huge
club.
club.
And with here you go, Sheffield Wednesday remain in discussions. The potential punishment with immediate 12-point deduction. So essentially,
how does that help them? By the way, how does that help them?
That's my point. So essentially, what you're saying is you've gone into administration, which is bad enough. Here's a 12-point deduction. You've now been relegated. Right? Let's be fair. That relegates them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's like saying right now to Wolves or West Ham, you got a 12-point deduct. Well, we're in the bottom 3 anyway. Yeah, well, there's another 12 points that you're gonna lose. So
exactly.
I hope that they get it sorted. I hope that that somebody can come in and rescue them with all the billionaires and millionaires in this world. But at the moment,
well, you know who wants it. You know who wants it. John Textor.
Your ex-guy.
It's not my ex-guy, man. Palace's ex-guy.
Palace's ex-guy. Yeah, I knew. Yeah. Sorry, I knew there was a link. Yeah,
but he's made some Marinakis. Him and Marinakis are like this.
Yeah.
And they've done all their dealings with Botafogo and what have you. And if you look at his model is fascinating. Because when he bought Botafogo, the Brazilian club, they were in a similar position where they were looking at somewhat financial ruin. So he buys them on the cheap, and then he can turn them around, pump a bit of money into them and what have you. And then his exit value on those clubs is a lot higher. So I know there was talks of him looking at Sheffield Wednesday over the summer. I don't know how that developed and what have you. And there was talks that he was leaning on Marinakis to be a bit of a sugar daddy for it and everything. So it'll be interesting to see if Textor gets that.
Well, let's look. Best of luck to Sheffield Wednesday, and feeling their fans must be absolutely deflated with what's going on. But listen, we've seen things like this happen, and clubs bounce back. I mean, Coventry at one stage were about to go out of business, and now look at Coventry. I'll tell you what. Let's take a minute to talk about what a year Frank Lampard has had. What a bloody year Frank Lampard has had. I know, but he's done a bloody brilliant job at Coventry, isn't he?
Shagger ex-manager, mate.
He's had a great year. Let's bring it back to the Premier League.
Let's talk Spurs. We haven't even started on your club.
Yeah, we haven't started on Spurs yet. Let's talk Spurs. The Spurs fan base is 50% calm, 50% is in utter meltdown, Wolfie. Like, I genuinely have to wake up and check the league table just to make sure we're not bottom from the meltdown.
Where are you in the league? I haven't looked at the league table since
we're sixth. We're 2 points off City in second. Like, we're where we probably should be, but fans not happy. And yeah, what do you make of it?
I get it to a certain extent, because look, I don't begrudge anyone their footballing opinion. If you got a sector of your fan base that are frank out, I'm sure they have their reasons for being frank out. I know Dyche is frank out and what have you, but Dyche will be frank in if you got Everton, I think, this weekend, haven't you? So I don't see a problem with there being differing opinion, as long as there is reason backing an opinion up. I don't like opinions where it's just, I'm just saying frank out. Why? Because, right? If you got a reason for it, I understand it. It goes back to what I said to you a couple of weeks ago, Sav. People always have their preconceived idea on the manager. For example, I didn't want Dyche in. Does that mean, that probably means in my eyes that Dyche gets less rope? I'm just thinking kind of subconsciously, than say Rob on my channel who wanted Dyche. So it could be a scenario of where, let's say Dyche loses 4 games in a row, I could be shouting for his head, whereas Rob, who wanted him in, will be like, let's give him a bit more time. It's about the
Sure.
preconceived idea of it. I, to a certain extent, understand it on Frank because I don't think he's got the credentials to take Spurs where certain sects of your fan base think they should be. And to be honest, I would say Spurs do need to be higher up than they are. You've always been this, we're a big six club off the pitch. All right, let's see it on the pitch. Now, can Frank do it? Yes, he can, but he will need time to do it. So you as Spurs fans need to decide, do you want the immediate success or do you want the long-term success?
Let me ask you a question though on that. By the way, I don't disagree. I do not disagree with anything you said there. Of course, you know, I can admit that, you know, by the time I was Ange out at Spurs, my mind was made up, right? Like I'm in that mindset now that I want to give him less time than no. I get that, but surely the whole wanting immediate success, that's going to have to come down to the caliber of the footballers as well, right? Like I always say, you could bring in Pep Guardiola right now. The squad is still the squad. So I don't think it matters who the manager is right now. With the resources he's got, whoever the manager is, I think Spurs will be roughly in and around 6th or 7th at the end of the season because of who we've got. Would you take any of our strikers at Forest? There you go. There's a question.
As in number 9s?
Number 9s. Just number 9. We'll move on in a minute. Would you take any of our number 9s in front of Wood, Calamundo, and Jesus?
No.
Right. Other than Kudus, who I'm guessing you would take, would you take any of our other wingers? I'm guessing you take Kudus. I mean, you could tell me if you wouldn't.
I would take Kudus.
Right. Other than Kudus, are you taking
who
Johnson,
as the
Tell, Odeber? Like
Tell, no. Odeber, no. Who else you got?
Johnson?
Johnson's one. No, I've never thought Johnson for me. If he's not playing in a particular system in a particular position, he can't play. You don't play him at all. But Johnson's got that little heartstring thing for me. So maybe Johnson, I would take him as a squad player.
Sure. Okay.
But we would probably play a style that suits him.
Sure. If I said to you right now, give me your best Forest 11, and let's say Brennan Johnson's a Nottingham Forest player, does he make that 11 above Ndoye, Hutchinson, Bakwa, whoever else you've got? I'm missing. Right. So far, you're a team that are struggling down the bottom right now at the moment. I think it is a false position, but you wouldn't take any of the Spurs forward line other than Kudus. Right. Correct. Now let's look at our midfield. Right. Now let's look at our midfield options. So we've got Paulinho, who I'm getting. Would you take Paulinho as a number 6? Right.
I'd take him, but would he get in? I've got a real soft spot for Anderson. But okay, but I'd take him 100%. Yeah.
Sure. Who of the others of our centre mids would you take in your midfield at Forest? Are you taking Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, Gray? Are any of these getting in above Douglas Luiz? Elliot
they wouldn't get in above. The one I would maybe take for a development one, maybe it'd be Gray. Like, because if you played him in, maybe he needs another year or so in a settled. I'd get him in the gym.
My point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on your point.
These are our first team footballers, Wolfie, that fans of clubs like Forest, fans of clubs like, when I spoke to Joe the other day, like, which of these get in? You're like, well, that's where we're at. And what we've got a very good back four. We've got a very good back four, and Paulinho as the 5th makes that a very good base. And that's what Frank's built off, right? That base. It's the other stuff around it where Spurs didn't buy and should have bought.
But is your team better or worse? Is your squad, sorry, let's not say team. Is your squad better or worse than the team Ange had?
I mean, it's difficult to say at the moment because I don't like using injuries, but at the moment,
you got Madison out, Kulusevski out,
he's not had the option to play Kulu and Madison, and they're out for most of the season. So, sure, but the problem I have with this, Wolfie, is we knew that in the summer, right? Spurs knew Madison was out for the year.
Yeah, Madison was out while the window was open, if I remember.
You know, we knew Kulu was going to be out until sort of December, January. And by the way, even then when he comes back, he's coming back from about 8 months out. Yeah. It's going to be... So we had the time to to add and to build and to grow the squad. But the forward options for me is just horrific, Wolfie. It's
but
horrific.
is it much worse than what you had? Is my point, because Son was on his last legs. I think most Spurs fans would agree. He's been a great servant and what have you.
But compare him to our left wingers that we've got.
Yeah,
now.
I know, but you could argue. I don't know if it makes sense, but Kudos coming in is the mirror equivalent of Son, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay, so we've replaced.
Sure. Yeah, in terms of replacement, you brought Xavi Simons in, who's meant to be this all singing, all dancing, who can play where
the Maddison kind of
with Maddison,
right?
yeah. But you could argue that's made your squad stronger, because when Maddison is back next year or whenever he's back,
maybe next season, yeah,
I hear it. But I would say you could make an argument that Xavi Simons, if he's on form and feeling confident, could challenge for Simons. I think your squad hasn't moved forward, but it's the same. It's not worse and it's not weaker, if that makes sense, as an overall.
But that's the point. But the thing is, when people are saying this, we're not sitting 17th in the league and we're not losing games. That's the difference, right? Is whether or not the squad, let's say the squad is the same as last season. If we're going to play that game, let's say the squad is the same as last season, right? We've lost 2 games in the Premier League, right? We've got one of the best defensive records in the Premier League. If this was under AngeR, it wouldn't have been that. We would have been wide open, gung-ho. We would have been completely down the table. Now, if we get to the end of this season, Wolfie, and people can turn around and go, oh, Thomas Frank's finished 17th, I can turn around and go, yeah, what a shit job you've done as well. But I don't think we will. What the problem is, it's the style. It's the aesthetics of this that people don't like. But as I said, if you do not buy the players that are capable of playing aesthetically pleasing football, you're not going to play aesthetically pleasing football.
He's not an aesthetically pleasing manager. This is
but what we're seeing now is
he wasn't
what his Brentford team were doing.
No, but he's, in my eyes, at least in my subjective opinion, he's never been an aesthetically pleasing manager. You're not going to get tiki-taka football from him. Now, any Spurs fan that was thinking that has never watched Thomas Frank before, in my opinion. He's so to think a manager's going to come in and suddenly become a tiki-taka footballer on the front foot and what have you. You got to be realistic with the style of a manager. Sure. The other thing I would say is, you say about the whole finishing 17th. Fine, I hear that. But if he was to finish 10th, say, or 11th, or around that kind of area, which could be feasible, because you got some, but we've talked about Bournemouth and what they're doing. You expect Villa to kick on Newcastle, maybe, God willing, Forest do as well. There's going to be a battle underneath that title race battle that might be quite big in terms of teams that will be involved. So he may just find himself in that area. Now, if he does that and doesn't win, say, a cup or something like that, then I think you will hear louder noises about it. Yeah. I think it'd be more acceptable for him to finish 10th if he was a stylistic manager. But I just think because he's a pragmatic manager, with me, Thomas Frank, what I've always respected about him is he almost doesn't bring his style in. He brings multiple styles in that to counteract the team he's playing. So, for example, if I remember back to him, I was watching, because my best mate's Man U match, I was watching when Man U played them a season or two ago. He went long ball against Man U. Everything was long ball because Ten Hag was very vulnerable against it, and they scored him. I think it was 4-0 or 4-1. And then in the next game, when he played whoever it was, he went for a bit more of a pressing team. So he's very analytical about the oppositions. That should he be doing that, or is he doing that at Spurs? I don't know. You could probably better answer on that than I can. But I think he has to come in and say, we're Spurs. We're meant to be this big club. This is how we're going to play. Oppositions now need to worry about me. The manager at Brentford needs to be worried about what I'm going to do this weekend, not how I used to approach it at Brentford.
No, I understand that. But I will go back to this. You've got to have the players. I'm not expecting Spurs, as I keep saying to you.
Did he have the players at Brentford?
Huh?
Did he have the players at Brentford? I know you're going to say in Buemo, Vissa, etc., but these were no-namers when they came in.
Sure, but they were no-namers that he had time to build and develop and coach and mold as a team. right, at Spurs at the moment, first of all, he's not going to get the time at Spurs to build and develop a mold,
Correct.
right, like he did. We know that. So if that's the case, then you've got to get better players, right? I look at these forward options, Wolfie, and I'm surprised we're sixth, if I'm honest. I'm looking at these genuinely. I'm not just trying to be controversial. When Spurs start games now, I never feel like we're going to score goals when Tell gets the ball, when Odeberg gets the ball, when Richie gets the ball. I feel like I'm watching, I'm not going to name a team. I feel like I'm watching a team that's just been promoted with their set of forwards. Right? We've gone from a club that had Kane and Son to this. There's no in between. We went Kane and Son. These guys are down here. We haven't even got the middle ground. We haven't even gone to the middle ground of forwards. So, look,
but
is it great to watch? Wolfie, it's not. It's not great to watch, right?
It's not great to watch, but also there is a lot of this Frank spin you're doing, bro. Right? This whole
I don't think I am,
lost.
but we're sixth.
Wait, hold on. Okay, but you got to look deeper at it. Wait, hold on. Because you're doing the whole we've only lost 2 games in 12 or whatever it's been. You've only won 2 games in 7, and one of those was Doncaster. Like that needs to be addressed as well.
Of course it does.
Draws are starting to stack up for you. The odd defeat here against was it Villa in the last one. This is probably where you can start to understand the Frank outers. They probably jumped the gun too much.
Really?
But when you're starting to, no, they've jumped the gun too much. What I'm saying though is if I'm putting their hat on, they're probably looking at that run and thinking I mean, who have you played in there? Let me just can't remember.
But the Wolfie, the problem with this, right? The problem with this argument is, yeah, we've had a few draws. Yeah, is it? Listen, I'm not sitting here and saying it's been amazing to watch. I sat there all last night, said it wasn't. Right. By the way, ask anyone who I work with regularly. Well, you should know this. You work with me regularly. I said, I don't expect that Spurs are going to play decent football with the footballers we've got. I think it's going to be pragmatic. I think it's going to be hard to beat. And I said, once we start adding in better players, we will see tweaks in the way we play. We will be more.
This is your squad, Tab. This is your squad.
I get it. Yeah.
Complain as much about the shit window you had. And I agree with you on it. I don't think it was shit. I just think it wasn't complete. Like the players you brought in were decent. Okay. Agreed. But this is the squad until at least January. Now, if you're just treading water come January, who are you going to attract in? Let's just say Spurs shit the bed. No. You will attract players. You will attract players. What I'm saying is, are you going to attract those players that you want? Because I've always heard you talking about a left winger, a striker. If you're languishing maybe in the playoff region of the Champions League, and maybe you're not in the top 4, but you could push to the top 4, is say Lookman going to go to Spurs over choosing a Chelsea, for example, if they were to come in. So it is important what you do in the next few weeks and months. If you're going to have a good January window, that you position yourself to become attractive to those players.
So now spin it, right? But the thing is, he's trying, whether it's pragmatic or not, he's trying to keep us up there and keep us relevant and keep us above water with what he's got. The problem is, Wolfie, he hasn't got the players that we're suddenly going to one day wake up and go, God, weren't that great to watch? We've not got the players. So with what he's got, Wolfie, this is exactly what I expected, right? I said in the summer, I said it all year, we are going to be a pragmatic team until we get better players. We did not complete the 11. We've got crap strikers, crap left wingers. And for me, I think we've got a bunch of very average number 8s. You've got better centre mids than us. Now, no offense, this is your first year in Europe in 30 years, right? Right? And you have got better midfielders than what Tottenham have assembled. That, for me, is embarrassing, right? Spurs, 2 or 3 players completely changes the way we play, completely changes how good we are. But at the moment, the difference is, Wolfie, we're 6th. Everyone's talking like we're bottom. Last year,
but Sav, before the international break, you were 3rd, and now you're 6th. And now, I don't think 6th matters. I don't think 6th matters because it's still too early in the season. It's still a very malleable table. Okay, I think it comes down to this simple fact. One, what I said earlier, you are either for Frank or against him to start with. You got your preconceived idea. But secondly, it's about what your expectations are out of the season. Now, you may have some Spurs fans who are like, right, we won the Europa League. Top 5 is a minimum for us this season, plus a domestic cup.
Sure.
Or you may have Spurs fans that are like, Ange nearly destroyed our club. We need to reset and rebuild. And this is a 2-year project, or at least let's see where we are more so in April than where we are in October. I think both arguments are valid because everyone should and is entitled to their opinion as long as there's reason behind it. So this clash within the fan base will happen in every fan base.
I agree, but let's be brutally honest, right? Let's now be brutally honest. Let's look at the squad. Let's look at Spurs after where we finished last season. What should Spurs be aiming for this season? We just had our worst ever Premier League season, right? Our worst ever, Wolfie. So what should be the aim the immediate year after your worst ever year?
Okay, so it depends, again, on if you think 17th was an anomaly and that squad was good enough to be higher or not. Okay.
Of course it was good enough to be high enough. But how good
so you would say that squad last season, let's be open in terms of what we're saying. Let's say top 10, just to make it nice and simple. We're not going to say top 5 or whatever. If we're now sitting here and saying that this squad is on par, yes, they're different positions. If you look at Kudos and Son, etc., then a minimum expectation needs to be top 10. Now, if you add into that you won the Europa League, whether or not you think it was easy or whatever, it's still a trophy. It's still got your Champions League. I think that should add a +2, maybe a +3 on positions. So I would say that you would look to be top 8, something like that.
Sure.
I think that's reasonable assumption.
And at the moment, we've not finished top 8, right? Like this is my point. Everyone's losing their mind with a new manager that's coming in. And look, football managers need time, right? Like if you come in and you lose 8 out of 8, I get it. You've got no chance. I get it, right? But you've got to give managers time, right? You've got to remember, Wolfie, that human behavior is that the defeats were seeping into our players' psyche. Defeats were becoming the norm for these footballers, and fans were telling them, cool. Yeah, send your message. And fans were making excuses for that all last season. But this, but that. That's fine. That's cool. This manager's come in and he's told us, Wolfie, I'm not expecting you to have seen all this. He's told us multiple times in the Spurs interviews that first thing I need to do is I need to bring a togetherness. I need to bring some structure and I need to stop the goals going in at the back. He's told us this, right? He said, then we can move on to the other phases. The problem is fans want everything done in one foul swoop. We want the defense fixed, the midfield fixed, the forward fixed. For me, I'm happy that he stopped us shipping goals for fun, right? I'm happy that we're not losing games. Yes.
But that was an easy fix, Sav. That's not a fix that would take too long.
Saying it's an easy fix, I would suggest that's people who don't ever work in football or coach. You can't just like everything's amazing.
You can. I'll tell you why in this scenario. Because you are going from a manager that was playing 2 back to a manager who's going to put at least 3 or 4 in defense and have them straightened.
Of course, but you still have to build that foundation. The problem is, this is where everyone...
It's not shit defenders you're working with, Sav. These are defenders that pre-Ange would know how to defend.
That's not what I'm saying. My point is, you've gone from a team that had absolutely zero structure in their day at all to you've got to implement that structure, right? You've then got a bunch of midfielders where we don't really have ball-playing midfielders. You guys have got like Elliot Anderson. I'm so jealous. You guys have got... I'd give anything to have an Elliot and an Anderson in our team right now, and I think it changes the way we play. We've got no good left winger, no good strikers, and no good number 8s, right? Not like really good number 8s, right? With what we've got, we are where we should be, and I don't know what the drama is, Wolfie. Now, if we have a conversation in 2 months and Spurs have played another 8 league games and lost 6 of them, yeah, I get it, right? But at the moment, we haven't. And everyone's stressing about what might happen, not what has happened. That's the problem.
I agree with that. I think it's too early. If Frank had lost say 4 or more games or something like that, then yeah, I get it.
Look,
But
I mean, look, what's the panic, Wolfie? Look, realistically, who is the only club in that top 6 above us that shouldn't probably be?
Bournemouth then should be in the bottom 3. I hate their guts.
Right, I know you hate them, right? So Bournemouth, so Bournemouth are very good, but other than that, you look at that and you go, should Spurs really be above Chelsea or Liverpool or City or Arsenal? Like, what is the drama? Is what I'm asking.
Okay, it comes down to a word I hate to use because Houghton used to say it. I hate Houghton.
By the way, John Kramer fan, just quickly, if you keep lying, I will block you. I've got no problem with people giving a different opinion. What I won't stand for is people lying. So if you lie, you'll be blocked. Just giving you a friendly warning, not being rude. Just please don't lie. This is not what happened at all. So please,
John,
let's
that
not
is a
pretend
beautiful
it
profile
is.
picture.
All right. Oh, for sure. But let's
can
not
leave that
lie.
message.
This is not what happened at all. Right. Okay. Sorry, Wolfie.
That's right. I was going to say it's fine margins. If because you took the lead against Villa.
Yes.
If you'd beaten Villa, you'd have been second. Bloody hell.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But this is, and I hate to use
so two goals has caused a meltdown. So Spurs lose that game
Yeah.
for a meltdown.
Yeah,
By the
exactly.
way, we could end this weekend in second. I'm not saying we will, but we could.
Yeah, you could. Or you could end up maybe, I don't know, just looking around. You could end up 10th. I don't know who's playing who
Everyone
necessarily.
wins and we lose. But
this is my point, Sav. The table means nothing right now. The table means nothing for another month. I have to play that because I'm 18th, right?
If the table means nothing for another month, what's the drama? Like, surely we actually let the season get deep into it before we're going to start worrying about losing 2 in 8.
The drama is every football fan has a preconceived idea on a manager. I agree with that. It's that simple. And you know what? I could spin the narrative right now on Spurs that Spurs are going to have a fantastic season as a non-Spurs fan. And I could also spin the narrative of why Spurs are going to have a shit season. It just depends on the way you want to look at it. This is the tribalism. This is the reactionaryism, if that's such a word, that we see. I was on what channel was that? I think I was on Hussein's channel the other day. And you've got our Arsenal now going to walk the league. 2 weeks ago, is it our Liverpool going to walk the league? Now it's our Liverpool going to make the top 4. Our Liverpool blowing the title race.
Right.
Everything is in the moment. And the more you do,
now do you see why I don't panic, Wolfie? But do you see why
I agree with you. There's no need to panic on anything.
You are 100% right. After 5 games, everyone sat there and said,
invincible.
Liverpool are unstoppable. Liverpool are doing the quad. Look at Liverpool. Now, 3 weeks later, everyone's going, Liverpool have lost 4 of their last 5. Now, I'll ask you this, Wolfie. How would this Spurs fan base that are crying that we've lost 2 in 13, Liverpool have lost 4 of their last 5. Liverpool have one of the best squads in Europe, and they've lost 4 of the last 5. When does context need to come into play a little bit here?
It never will, mate. It never will.
But it's got to.
But there's the problem is when you got people like me who I know Liverpool aren't in any kind of trouble and will be there or thereabouts in April. But I'm not gonna let Cal off. I'm not gonna let Months off. Am I? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't help these situations, Sav, right? But when we're talking just me and you and just talking properly about football, we know the context of it is there is no drama. Forest are 18th. I get messages by the minute. Enjoy the championship. This, enjoy the championship. That. Freaking George said it to me this morning, right? I'm not worried about relegation fight and what have you, but the game is the game. If we're talking seriously about football, there is no drama at Spurs. No. That's the bottom line. What there is there's agendas and preconceived ideas. Correct. And as I said to you, everything is too heavily weighted on managers. If you are Frank or you wanted Frank, when Spurs win, it's a Frank masterclass. When Spurs lose, it's the players' fault. The players are shit. If you're on the opposite side, when Spurs win, the players won you the game. When Spurs lose, Frank is shit, get him out. This is just the
This is
tribalism of
why it
football.
shouldn't be either way. Like when
It shouldn't be
Spurs
either way,
win-
exactly.
When Spurs win, I don't think I've ever said masterclass. Like, I don't like this notion because let's be fair, right? Look at the game against Villa. I thought we were not by a long way, but I thought we were the better team. And
It was a dead game, Sav. I watched
yeah,
that game.
but
Both
I'm not
teams
saying
were
it
dead.
wasn't.
Yeah.
No, Wolfie, that's not my point. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it wasn't. I'm not saying it wasn't. My point was, you win that game. I'm not going to sit and go masterclass. I hate all this. Every time a manager wins a game, it's a masterclass. Every time they lose, they bottled it. I'll be honest. I find that all very childish in this day and age of football. Right? Sometimes the best team loses. So unfortunately, Monaco will be gutted. They didn't batter us. Monaco, I think everyone in football can see Monaco will be absolutely gutted. They did not beat Tottenham Hotspur.
And how vindicated are me and you, by the way, when we sat here in the summer talking about Akliouche being
class.
one of the hottest
Class.
talents in football. I guarantee, and no disrespect to the chat, but how many of them would have watched Akliouche and known about him? Now look
He's
how
in the
everyone's raving
Farmers
about
League. He's in a
Farmers League,
Farmers-
exactly.
Oh
Farmers
my
League. Yeah.
God.
I'd have killed for him. I'd have killed
Look.
for him in the summer.
Look, I think that I think that everything is too crazy. Like, let's be fair. If Spurs win this weekend against Everton, right? By the way, I think we'll draw. I think we'll draw. I think it's a tough
Everton
place.
is very good.
They're a good team at home, right? If Spurs beat Everton, it's like me going. Let's just say let's just say we're second or third, right? Let's just say we're second or third after this week, and I don't know, right? It's like me going, okay, guaranteed top four because we're in the top four right now. Wolfie, I don't believe that. I won't make that video. Equally, if we lose to Everton, I'm not going to go, oh my God, we're in a relegation battle and we're bottom half team. The problem is every fan is going from game to game as to where we're going to finish, how bad it is, how great it is, right?
It's the
I've got
extremes.
fans that come into my comment section. When we win, they go, oh, so harsh on Frank. Yeah. When they lose, Frank out. And it's like, as a human being, Wolfie, I don't know how people can have that loop in their head all year round. From going to, I genuinely
Here's the thing, Sab.
don't get it.
Let's say you finish second come the end of this game week. Yeah. I guarantee you, if I log onto YouTube, I'll find videos saying, Spurs in a title race, ? Okay. If you lose the game this weekend,
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the complete
course.
extremes. It's the complete extremes. But you can't win anyway. Like, I'll give you the example. When AngeR came in, I was clear. I didn't want AngeR, but I said, you know what? Let's roll the dice and see what happens, right? I got ridiculed for backing the manager to say, let's see what he does. He was at Spurs. Spurs is some weird club. Let's see what happens. Right? I got ridiculed. I didn't want Dyche to come in, and I was happy if he didn't come in. And I'm being told, why aren't you backing the manager? Okay, so whatever opinion you give, you're always going to have this whole group that wants to counteract your opinion anyway. You're going to have that with opinions in football. It's kind of why I love football. You know what? I like studying the psychology behind how a football fan thinks and how reactionary a football fan could be one way or the other. You could solve so many psychological issues if people just studied football fans. You would get some amazing data out of it.
Do you know what I like, Wolfie? When I'm having football conversations with, forget any, I say WhatsApp groups. I'm only in one football WhatsApp group, one, and that is my Spurs 5 group for all of our links and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in any other WhatsApp groups. When I'm talking down the pub with my boys, right? My not YouTube, my boys from when we talk football.
3D mates.
Yeah. The in-person real mates. Right. Whenever we talk football and they banter and that, the conversation isn't always, he's got to go, he's got to be sacked, you're getting relegated. The conversation is you lost or blah, blah. But you have sensible conversation. The moment you jump on to YouTube, right? It just gets mad, right? It just gets absolutely mad. Like, for the way I see it is I've set my opinion on Spurs this season. I did on last season as well. I didn't change it all last season. I'm not going to change it this season. Last season, at the beginning of the season, Wolfie, I turned around and said, Tottenham with that squad under AngeR Postecoglou, with being in the Europa League, I think we should finish 7th. Right? Now, when I said that, and we will end in a minute, I know you need to jump in a couple of minutes. Right.
Yeah.
When I said that, Wolfie, 90% of the Spurs fan base, and that's a made up stat, by the way, right? 90% of the Spurs fan base jump into my chat going, you're negative. We've just finished 5th. You're predicting 7th. You're horrible. You're negative. Okay. So then when Spurs are heading towards 17th, we weren't there all season. When we're 8th and then we're 11th, then we're 13th, and I'm going, this is bad. People are going, oh, no, but the squad he's got. And I'm like, hang on. When I predicted 7th, you all told me off. This season, I've said I think we will finish 6th. Now, what I've caveated that with is I think if we have a good January and we keep everyone fit, we could finish in the top 5. I think we could finish 5th because Newcastle have got Champions League as well. Villa have got Europa League. So I think there's a lot of games, yada, yada, yada. I also think it could mean we finish 7th or 8th, depending on if injuries go the other way and if we don't strengthen in January. But I don't think 6th or 7th is the end of the world for Tottenham Hotspur. But our fans have this reality where we've won a Europa League. We must now be finishing top 4 and winning it. And I just don't think that's how life works, Wolfie, for me. I just don't.
It's subjective, isn't it? Because I guess you could make the argument that Spurs traditionally, more times than not, in the last 10, 15 years have finished in the Champions League positions. I mean, has that benefited you financially? Yes. But you could argue finishing in the Europa League position benefited you with the trophy. So it is quite subjective. The other thing is, if you predict too high, you get called deluded. I remember last season I predicted Forest to finish 8th. And I was told deluded this, deluded that. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, mate. It was the game is the game, and I kind of love it, man. I just love the different opinions. I love that people feel comfortable enough to say their opinions and share them. They just need to be treated respectfully and just understand that you don't know everything about football. I don't know nothing about football.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? And we're just here to have a debate, have a conversation. At the end of the day, we would both love to be wrong on both our clubs and our clubs finish better than what we could have predicted. So if you've predicted Spurs to finish 7th and they finish and win the league, I'm sure you're going to be really pissed off that you were wrong, Savva. So that's the crazy thing of this.
Just quickly before we wrap up, what I do see quite a lot in football. By the way, there is a video in my chat, right, which says Kudos on fire at Frank Masterclass, right? And that was purely because I was poking fun at Joe from Leeds after the shit he gave me the day before it. Football's
you noticed he started on me yesterday. I fired an alliance with him.
Look, what I will say is this. Just before we go, what I will say is I do see that a lot of people, what they do though, is they predict too high so that they can judge it down. And what I mean by that is if as a Spurs fan, I turn around in the summer and said, Wolfie, Spurs are definitely top 3. What that means is now whenever Spurs aren't in the top 3, I can turn around and say, shit job, we should have been top 3.
Yeah.
But if people are going to judge fairly, I think Tottenham, 6th or 7th, with the squad we've got, with not buying the players that we needed, Champions League football, playing every 3 weeks, new manager, new coaches, new director of football, new medical staff, new everything. I don't think that's a terrible year. Now, that doesn't mean I think that has to happen next year, Wolfie. Because the point is that you go again. The point is that you go, right, we've steadied the ship. Next year, you have a better summer. Right, where are we finishing? But football fans do not want any kind of level-headed conversation. It's all too hyperbolic.
Well, let me ask you this. If you'd had a proper transfer window, you know what I mean when I say proper, should your expectations have been higher? Let's say you got a striker in. Let's say you got a left winger in. Let's say I would say you need an 8 as well. Let's say you got those 3 positions.
Yep.
Would you be sitting here saying, Forest, Spurs should minimum be getting Champions League positions?
Damn right.
Maybe a cup.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But this
is the
thing.
real blame here.
Fans aren't judging it on the reality. Like if anyone looks at Spurs and says, looks at those left-sided players, looks at the forwards and looks at the number 8s and says, that's definitely a team that should finish top 5, you're having a laugh. Now, doesn't mean you can't finish there, Wolfie, but to say it will definitely finish there is
Yeah,
not
no, I'm
true.
talking minimum expectation.
Sure.
So
get
here's
it.
the thing. Maybe the blame shouldn't be pointed at Frank in or Frank out. Maybe this goes back to the root of Spurs' issues for the last 15, 20 years, which is the ownership. Had they backed it, and let's face it, Spurs have the money, you could have spent another 50 to 100 million quite
We could have
comfortably.
spent loads.
Comfortably.
Yeah. Yep.
So Frank's getting the heat for an issue that could have been solved 3 months ago with a little better planning and a little better investment. And I just think the root cause sometimes isn't what's at the front line of the battle. It's the people that are hiding behind, barking
I
the orders out.
completely agree. Let me ask this question just before we go. We are wrapping up, right? If Tottenham Hotspur, I've said in the January window, right? Let's say Spurs go and get Lookman on loan for the left, Tony on loan for up front, right? Just those two alone. I will then turn around and go, I expect much better performances, much better results, because now we've got two more really good players that have come in, help the forward line and change the way we play. If we don't, then nothing's going to change for me. This is the problem, Wolfie. I think fans, one, rate players way too much. I see it with Bergvall, decent young player, but our fans didn't want to say decent young player that needs to grow. What we did was go, he's one of the best young players in the world. And you're like, whoa, based on what? Like what? And that's football fans, right? That's football fans.
You need a Lookman in front of it. Look, what's Lookman? He's about 27, 28, isn't
Yeah,
he?
well, Lookman's 27, 28. So
Yeah, so he's well versed. He knows the role. What you want is Odeberg, or how do you say his name? Odeberg, or whatever he's called.
Odeberg.
You want him in behind a Lookman where
Yes.
he can play 15 minutes at the end, or he can play
Yes.
the League Cup match, or maybe even loan him out for a season. You know what I'm saying? So he gets some game time and what have you. You've kind of taken off that top player and just exposed the cake mixture underneath, which isn't cooked and ready. You know what I'm saying?
This is my point. So, for example, if you look at Man United last year, when Man United have got Xerxes, Højlund, and Ahmad as a front three, that is the front three for me that should be playing behind a senior front three, getting a few minutes here or there. But Spurs at the moment are having to play players like Odeberg and Tell.
I'm telling you now, you could put Tell behind anyone. Tell's still going to be shit. Tell is one of the worst footballers I've seen. He is shite.
Going to do a couple of super chats. Just before we do a couple of super chats and round up the show, guys, please, I'm half reading the chat, half not. Some of you are talking about my mods abusing people. Other people are abusing. Guys, how can we not have a football conversation without it going to abuse? Honestly, look at Wolfie and I. We just disagreed on stuff. Not one of us called each other a knobhead. We'll do that in private on WhatsApp, right? But you don't have to. You don't have to go down that route, please. If you are my mods,
this is the thing that I always say on my channel. I don't care if anyone agrees with me or disagrees with me. I just want to hear your opinions on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And just because your opinion is different to someone else's, why is that someone a cunt if they have a different opinion to you? You know,
madness. Honestly, whenever Spurs don't win now, my feed is just full of loads of people going, gutted, you wanker, you wanted Thomas Frank, you're this, your wife's this, your dog died. I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing here? Tottenham lost a game of football, right? I haven't started a war, right? I've not been convicted of murder. Like, anyway, look, big up to Gerald Goldsmith, who said, big up Savva and Wolfie, was good last night. Big up Savva, Wolfie was good last night, made me laugh. Wolfie is good value. He is good value for
Gerald. I hope you're talking about the stream and not me and you late at night.
No, yeah, I'm talking about the stream. Big up Gerald, who then very generously came back in with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Gerald. Really appreciate you. Thank you very much, my man. Listen, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Smokey Boy, who put in the 2 buy me a coffees. We really appreciate that. And thank you. We've had a few subscribers. I think we've had like 3 subscribers, which is, you know what? It's better than, we've had 4 subscribers today, which is better than 0. Please go and subscribe to Wolfie. You know where to find him. Please subscribe to me as well. I'll be back at 2:30 for a members only show. If you're not a member, don't worry. If you are a member, you've got the link, right? If you are a member, you've got access to it. I'll see you at 2:30. Wolfie, thank you very much, my man. I appreciate you. And we're going to send you over to Never a Foul. When you get there, please just say Savva and Wolfie Raid. Savva and Wolfie Raid. And please smash them a like, subscribe to them and help them out. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.